you're dealing with them. You're sending them a document that has already been accepted by the Bank of Canada through one of its tellers, you. And if they don't like it, they don't want to accept it, the Postmaster General has received his consideration by way of that stamp, and you have canceled it with your own signature. And that means if they try just giving us a runaround, it gives us a lot more remedy now. Now what we're going to look at is what we have to do, how are we going to mark this document. And that's what we'll look at next. Okay, so how do we mark the remittances so that enough value is assigned to them that the people who want payment can take it to the Minister of Finance and draw from the Consolidated Revenue Fund to pay for these things? First off, big one, you have to mark it consumer purchase. Okie doke, do it at a diagonal. If this was that's your remittance, you write across it consumer purchase. Now your remittance is going to have a little square on it. It'll tell you teller stamp. What you're going to do is you're going to put a $1 stamp in there, and you're going to sign it in blue ink right across the face of it. Right across the stamp. Now you also need some information. You have to be able to claim, you have to be able to point them to your right to do this. And that's what your birth certificate information is for. Now it should be made out, the name should match the name on the birth certificate, and that number, what we've been calling a bond tracking number, we're just going to call it a tracking number, and in your claim of right you're going to refer to it as your teller number. What you do is you put that number along with your signature. So that the people know that you do in fact hold a valid birth certificate, and that document entitles you to engage in this action, acting as a teller for the Bank of Canada. Now, once you take this, you send that off to them. Oh, there'll be a place in here where you have to assign the value. It'll say amount. How much have you sent in? This is where you tell them this is how much you're taking out of the Consolidated Revenue Fund, and you put the amount in there that corresponds with the amount of the demand. So it equals out. It's zero. Once you have done all that, your consumer purchase, the stamp on it brings in the Postmaster General, both as a witness now to this process, and he ends up having a duty to make sure that this stuff gets properly delivered. You've identified it as a consumer purchase so that they can justify going to the Consolidated Revenue Fund and drawing from it, and they know that they're not giving it to some corporation or who's going to use it for profit-making purposes. You've signed across it, canceled the stamp, and you've written in the number identifying from your birth certificate, which identifies you as having the power to draw from the Consolidated Revenue Fund for these purposes. Now, I know you're going to ask, can I get money back? Can I have them give me cash? The answer is no. This option is there for when you need it. And if you have failed to use it, that's your own problem. No one stopped you from trying to from looking at this information before. The 96 was on there the whole time. It's right down there. and you never looked it up. And yeah, so you paid. And now you want to go to the Consolidated Revenue Fund and get cash? You can't do that. Those debts are already been paid, so you got no right to draw from the fund to pay off a debt that's already been paid. You chose to pay it. What I'm willing to bet that the Consolidated Revenue Fund, the size of it, is a function of how many of these are out there floating around. And they always have enough in this fund to cover all of the remittances that are out there waiting to be redeemed. And if you don't do it, oh well, you've given up your option. It's very much like going to a restaurant where you are presented the bill and at the same time you're issued a coupon. And that coupon is good for the value of the bill, but you never knew it. So you paid. And you might have given the coupon back or you might have kept it. But the coupon was only good for that one meal. You've eaten it, the meal's gone, the debt is gone. You've got a reminder now. I don't see how you can use it and draw from it and get paid. Maybe for your rent. Rent would maybe be a different story. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick little synopsis of the steps involved so that you can use your remittance option in meeting these financial obligations placed upon you by people who are extracting the resources of this country to generate their own wealth. And because of that, that's why you have the option, the remittance option. Okay, so here's what we're going to be doing. It's a simple six-step process. Step number one, a notice to the Bank of Governor, to the, what's he called? Governor of the Bank of Canada. A notice to him telling him that, okay, so here we go. Let's do it over. Here it is, a simple six-step process. Number one is a notice to the bank governor, the Bank of Canada. You're going to send a notice to him, the governor. And you're going to tell him, listen, I'm going to be acting as a teller when these documents come in. I'm going to be acting as a teller for the Bank of Canada. That way, when the remittance is sent to the people demanding, they see that the Bank of Canada, through their authorized teller, you, has accepted it. So instead of us trying to put it up and have the flow going uphill, it's actually coming downhill. Number two, we serve a notice informing the Minister of Finance that his mandate has been expanded and he is now empowered to draw from the Consolidated Revenue Fund in order to deal with your remittances. Number three is a claim of right, where you claim the right to draw from the Consolidated Revenue Fund in order to deal with your remittances. Number four is the process where we mark the remittance. We sign it, date it, put a stamp on it, sign across that, put our birth certificate information on it, fill in the value, and send it off. Number five is a courtesy letter along with directions on how the people who are demanding payment, they're not going to be used to this. It's going to be a little bit different for them. So you should be nice and courteous, and you should write them a letter and giving them directions on exactly how to take this instrument and turn it into a financial thing for them. And explain to them that it is going to empower them to draw from the Consolidated Revenue Fund through the Minister of Finance in order to pay this demand. And finally, you send it off all registered mail. See, pretty simple really, isn't it? So here we are with the high-tech Color Board of Truth and Justice again. Boy, time flies, eh? It's already Tuesday. I was supposed to get this out last week, and people are relying on it, so I'm just going to bang it out, do the best I can. This is what you're going to be putting on your remittance. Now, bear in mind, when they send you an invoice, that's what they'll call it according to their rules. It'll be in two parts. You'll have the remittance down here,
a 96 right here, and up here it's